So we finally made it back from Tulsa. We have the car here. David is on the other side, just out of view there. We are trying to get the front passenger side suspension in working condition enough for us to be able to drive it around a little bit. I know we drove it around in that one parking lot, but it was making a lot of rubbing noises and we didn't want to drive it a ton. What we want to try to do today is get that put together just enough to drive the car and see exactly how much faster this is than the Death Kart. Now I haven't done the numbers on this yet, but the Death Kart dynoed 180. So the Death Kart was 2,600 pounds and the rough estimation on this M3 is around 3,300 pounds. So that is what, 700 pounds? The M3 obviously is a lot more powerful, but when you take 700 pounds, that's worth about 70 horsepower. So if you add 70 horsepower to the Death Kart or take away 70 horsepower from the M3, that should put them pretty close to each other. And I know that the Death Kart dynoed 222 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot. And you add 70 to that, and you are more than this M3. I think the M3 does 270 foot-pounds of torque at the crank. So that puts these two cars very comparable. And as you know, torque is very important. So we'd like to get this M3 put back together enough to get it back on the road enough for us to drive it and go have a little bit of fun with both cars here. Once the M3 gets back to my garage, it's probably gonna be pulled apart relatively quickly and then it won't be able to drive at all anymore. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun while we're here and while we've got both cars here and running. So enjoy today's drag race. All right, so this is what we did. We made sure that the threads on the top of the strut were nice and clean so that we could get a new nut on there. We went out and bought a new nut, bought a new washer, put all the components back together properly, and now it looks like the strut is actually back how it's supposed to be. Now we are going to be replacing these struts no matter what. They are, as far as we know, original to the car, so they're going to be getting rid of anyways, but now we can actually go and take it for a drive without it sitting there rubbing on this and making lots of weird noises. The other thing we were worried about is the wheel actually touching and messing up the fender, because even though the strut doesn't really support the suspension a ton, it was sitting lower by about an inch or so, maybe a little bit more than the side that was put together properly. So we were a little bit worried about that. That's why we made sure to put this back together. We are in this so far another $2.10, and we are going to put the tire back on and see if this thing actually rolls and runs like it should. All right, so we are out here. It is quite a bit later in the day because we were helping a buddy move a trailer around since I've got the pickup down here. So our good deed for the day has been done, but we do have the M3 now in operating condition. So we are quickly running out of daylight. You can see here, sun has already set. We are in a golden hour right now, which normally means that there's not a lot of time left. So what we'd like to do is like maybe a 0 to 60,
side by
and then
side,
like
0 to 60.
Maybe like a second gear pull and then a third, or
probably not a third. We don't have enough space for a third.
We don't have enough space for a third.
We've got this is actually a closed road, as you can see. I called some friends. We got a little bit of a closed road, but we don't have a lot of it. We've just got a small amount.
So we'd like to do a dig, a roll, and then we'd like to do a 60 to 0 braking test. So we have a tape measure that's 100 feet. So let's get that done. We don't have a lot of time, so
let's do it.
So let's figure out exactly how far it took to stop from 60 miles an hour all the way to 0. We won't do the tow hook, but we'll go to the front bumper. 91 feet.
So yeah, between 90 and 91 feet. So there's 90 feet, there's 91 feet.
Oh yeah, so you're like 90 and a half feet, 86 and a half.
So 86 and a half.
The M3 was 5 feet shorter. It did win 1 out of the 2 drag races, and then it won the pole.
It won the pole.
So
definitively won the pole.
I am very, very, very surprised at this because I really thought that this car would be much more comparable. It really is. Honestly,
Like,
I think
I totally got you on the first one, but I don't think you got a good launch.
it was decent on my first launch. The second one, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna send it. Like,
Because you were worried about the clutch on the first one, weren't you?
Yeah, the clutch
is. They said it was weak when we got it.
It's okay. It slips a little bit, and I didn't feel it much while we were racing. I could hear it, but I don't think it did that.
And
much.
I haven't smelled it.
I wasn't smelling it either, so
No.
it can't be that bad. And I don't think it really. I honestly don't think that it really changed any of the outcomes. So E36 Death Cart let me down. I was really hoping that would be a little bit closer than what it was.
The one thing I noticed on the first drag race, so I got him on the launch, and I pulled, and then I had to shift, and he was still pulling, and he got almost. I mean, we'll have to look at the GoPro to see if he actually got ahead of me, but then I, completed my shift, and he started shifting, and I jumped back in front. And then we pulled and pulled, and I stayed in front, and then I literally ran out of RPM. I was maxed out red limiter, and he just, whoa. It probably looks like I let off or hit on the brakes, but I was out of engine.
Right, and so
he
we
kept going.
We were only doing to the end of second gear, and I think the end of second gear on this M3, I'm sure everybody will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the end of second gear is almost 75, and I think the end of your second gear is like 65. And so that's what basically happened is we hit 65.
I ran out of gear, and then once I hit the rev limiter, I just pulled it out of gear and started slowing down.
So there we go. I'm happy we got the opportunity to do this. So huge shout out to the security up here. Let us use this little section of road for our 60 to 0 and 0 to 60 tests. And thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody enjoyed today's content. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you are new, check out our Patreon link. Our Patreon members get to enjoy
early access because we film these quite a bit in advance. So if you're on the Patreon, you'll get to see this much closer to when it actually happened.
And that starts at just $1 a month, so make sure to check out that link in the description. Also, make sure to check out our Instagram. Shirts are available there if you're looking to pick up a Tenza Motorsports shirt. I'm sure we'll have more stuff coming out. I'd like to do some hats and stuff like that. I've had people asking for hats, so just kind of stay tuned for that kind of stuff if you are interested. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and we will see you in the next video.